Chapter 70. Chew the Peel for Me. After a futile round of persuasion, Donna, with no other choice, carried Kiko into office number 2. Meanwhile, Hiroshi and the stern-faced military police officer walked into office number 3. Although called offices, these were actually countless small compartments divided by one-way transparent glass. Office number 2 was specifically used for interrogations, while office number 3 allowed witnesses with confidential identities to observe the proceedings. This arrangement by the military police was to reassure Hiroshi that Kiko was right next door and would not be out of his sight. Seeing this scene, Hiroshi felt relieved. It seemed that today's trip to the police station wasn't as perilous as he had imagined. He had helped the military police take down Wells and his gang, so they should commend him. A slight smile curved Hiroshi's lips. "Mr. Hiroshi, do you know this person?" As soon as they entered the room, the stern-faced military police officer pulled out a photo and handed it to Hiroshi. Hiroshi glanced down and saw Simon, locked in an interrogation chair. "Simon?" Hiroshi paused. Seeing Hiroshi's reaction, the stern-faced military police officer confirmed his suspicions. It seemed that Simon's statements were true. Wells did indeed perish by the hands of this young man before him. "What has he done?" Hiroshi asked softly, holding the photo. He remembered Simon well because in the battle with Wells, Simon had been the most fearless one, despite the personal animosity involved, which also showed Simon's courage. "Manslaughter," the stern-faced military police officer took off his cap and said, "and he also confessed to your involvement in the shooting." Hiroshi chuckled at the words. He tossed the photo onto the table and crossed his arms. Sure enough, temporary alliances were unreliable. People who were grateful to him initially were quick to betray him at the first sign of trouble. Human nature. Hiroshi sighed inwardly. "I don't know what you're talking about. He's a murderer. How credible can his words be? I am a law-abiding citizen. If you arrest and interrogate me based on a murderer's words without any direct evidence, I find that unreasonable." Hiroshi's face remained indifferent, a slight smirk playing at his lips. Hiroshi knew very well that after he had disposed of Wells, he had cleaned up all traces. Without direct evidence, no one could convict him based solely on witness testimonies, even if there were a dozen identical testimonies. The stern-faced military police officer chuckled. He stood up and poured a glass of water from the water dispenser into a disposable cup, then handed it to Hiroshi, saying, "Mr. Hiroshi, do you find this interesting? According to Simon's testimony, there were over a dozen people involved when you acted. I just need to summon each of them for questioning, and there's no way you can escape. Are you suggesting that if someone wants to frame another person, they just need to fabricate identical false testimonies with a dozen people and then execute the accused?" Hiroshi stared expressionlessly at the stern-faced military police officer. "Since when did our laws become like this?" The stern-faced military police officer pursed his lips, then suddenly laughed. "Mr. Hiroshi, there's no need to be so tense. We summoned you here not to convict you, but to thoroughly investigate the facts of the matter. The Wells gang was a cancer in the southern city, and eliminating him has made us very happy. What Officer Donna mentioned earlier about commendations isn't entirely just to deceive your little sister. According to our estimation, there's a high probability that you'll be commended for organizing a self-defense force to eliminate the gang." Hiroshi raised an eyebrow at his words. "I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're talking about." The stern-faced military police officer sighed helplessly, hands on hips, and sighed, "Mr. Hiroshi, this isn't fun. While you cleaned up the traces very well when you took action against Wells, if we really want to investigate, do you think we can't find any clues? Or should I bring Simon here right now to confront you face to face?" Donna sat in office number 2 with a small pile of snacks on the table, such as cookies and soft bread. These were Donna's last resort treasures. Now, she had to bring them all out to keep Kiko quiet. Donna was quite troubled, because she found out that Kiko was a typical little troublemaker. If she didn't let her eat, it seemed like her energy had no outlet. Sometimes she would touch the handcuffs on the interrogation chair, sometimes she would flip through the documents on the table, and a few times, she almost locked herself up. Most importantly, a few minutes after separating from Hiroshi, Kiko started to become restless and fussy, demanding to find Big Brother. You're called Kiko, right? Donna squatted down and asked Kiko in front of her. Uncle Blackface and your brother will be back soon. How about sister tell you a story to listen to? Okay, Kiko nodded while holding snacks in one hand. A long time ago, there were 3 little pigs living in the forest. One day, their mother told them. Donna began, but was interrupted by Kiko after just the beginning. The big pig built a straw house, the second pig built a wooden house, and the little pig built a stone house. Kiko pouted and looked pitifully at Donna. Sister, I've heard this story 800 times. Can you tell me something new? Donna was taken aback, then adjusted her approach. All right, then how about I tell you a story about Snow White? 8,000 times. Little Red Riding Hood? 1,800 times. The Nutcracker? 2,000 times. Cinderella? 10,000 times. Donna rattled off over 20 famous fairy tales in succession. She felt like her head was going to explode. Finally, she conceded defeat. Sister is so boring. No creativity at all. Big Brother's stories are much better, Kiko said, looking disdainfully at Donna. You should eat snacks yourself. Donna felt like her personality had been greatly insulted and slumped into her chair, feeling powerless. She felt emotionally exhausted and wanted to rest for a while, so she closed her eyes. At that moment, she heard a soft plop. It turned out that Kiko's hand slipped, causing an apple to fall into the nearby trash can. Donna suddenly chuckled to herself. Let's see how you handle this. Suddenly, she saw Kiko pick up the apple from the trash can, sneak a glance at her, and immediately pretended to continue resting with her eyes closed. Kiko hesitantly walked over and stood in front of Donna. Donna smirked inwardly. This little girl, mocking me for being unimaginative, now has to come over and beg me? Sister. Kiko timidly spoke up. Donna opened her eyes. Could you help me? Kiko's eyes held a pleading look, her little face pitiful as she held out the apple. Seeing this, Donna softened and was about to take it to wash. Could you help me chew the peel? Kiko flashed a brilliant and innocent smile. Donna's brow twitched, face full of black lines. This little troublemaker was indeed too cunning.